welcome to Science Stuff. Today we'll be focusing on biogeochemical cycles. This includes the water cycle, carbon cycle, and nitrogen cycle. And today we're going to start on the water cycle. To begin, 71% of the world's surface is covered in water. 77% of it is in the ocean, and only 3% of it is fresh water. Remember, the cycle has no beginning or end, but start. The sun shines on the ocean. The water evaporates into the atmosphere.
Then the water vapor from that evaporation process condenses into liquid in clouds.
Then the liquid grows heavy enough to become precipitation. Then it falls to the ground.
It can sink into the ground. This is called infiltration.
Once it's in the ground, it's called groundwater. Groundwater can be pumped out to be used as drinking water.
When precipitation falls, it can run off into a reservoir of water.
Most of it will return to the oceans. But another way water can evaporate into the atmosphere is by plants in the biosphere through a process called transpiration. Now, remember kids, water is very important to life on Earth. But something called global warming is causing the ice caps to melt, and this is one of our sources of water. But we'll get into global warming later.
Next is the carbon cycle. Remember, this is a cycle, so it has no beginning or end. But let's start with the CO2 in the atmosphere.
This is free CO2 in the form of gas.
This gas is used by plants that combine with water and sunlight to make their own food. This makes glucose.
That releases oxygen. Now, the plants can do one of two things. It can be eaten by an animal, or the plant can decompose.
If it is eaten, the animal will be living and breathing out carbon dioxide.
Or if the plant dies, it will decompose into carbon dioxide, and it will return into the environment.
The animal will also one day die, and that carbon dioxide will also return into the environment.
The animal or plant could also sink into the ground and millions of years later turn into coal, oil, or natural gas.
This brings us to the human-made step in the carbon cycle, burning fossil fuels. Now kids, when we burn coal, use oil, or natural gas, this releases carbon dioxide into the air. Now this is an issue because plants can't take that much carbon dioxide at a time, and it leaves carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, kids, which means that it absorbs the sun's energy. This is bad because the earth is heating up, and that's bad! Because I can't even take it!
Grace.
Oh, sorry. Next is the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is the seventh element on our periodic table. It comes in many forms, such as chemical cleaners, fertilizers, and living tissue, but it is most abundant in our atmosphere. Once again, this is a cycle, so it has no beginning or no end. But let's start with the process of fixation. Fixation is when nitrogen is fixed by lightning or blue-green algae, but most of it is modified by bacteria in the soil.
Then bacteria will combine oxygen and nitrogen to create nitrates and ammonia.
The plants use this fixed nitrogen to create DNA, RNA, and chlorophyll.
When these plants die, the fixed nitrogen they have in them fertilizes the soil.
Or an animal can eat the plant tissue and it will become animal tissue.
When a plant dies, an animal puts out waste, or an animal dies, bacteria and some fungi in the soil fix the organic nitrogen and return it as ammonia.
This is called ammonification. What can also happen is bacteria can turn ammonia into nitrates, which is called nitrification.
When there is a reduction of nitrates from nitrogen gas, it is called denitrification.
Concludes the nitrogen cycle!
Yay!
But wait,
No!
there's also an issue that occurs in the nitrogen cycle. Nowadays, modern farming has been adding nitrogen to fertilizers, and these run off from farms and find their way into the ocean. This isn't a good thing. Reason why is because when nitrogen goes into the ocean, it creates algae, which takes away oxygen from the water, creating something called a dead zone.
Dun dun dun.
A dead zone is a reservoir of water that doesn't have enough oxygen to sustain life underwater. This is causing issues for fishermen and for the creatures themselves. Screw you, nitrogen! Nobody likes you!
And those are the biogeochemical cycles. Do you understand, kids?
Not really.